give it a minute. Let some people hop on. I'm also going to fix my mic here. Let's give it just a minute, and I'm going to test to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. You guys are going to be so pissed that I'm doing this live. I know you guys are going to be so pissed. Okay, we're good. I know you guys are going to be so pissed that I'm doing this live. I know that, okay? I get it. I'm trash. I understand. By the way, here is the YouTube, the Halloween backdrop, but this is a MacBook, so I'm not really able to get it in the correct frame, and for that, I do apologize. And I also apologize that this is going to be a live, but I am going to keep this on my channel, and it is still going to be on the Haunted House playlist, the Storytime playlist. So if you do miss this live, it is okay. It will still be there. So I do apologize that I'm giving you guys this Storytime live. I know you guys are going to be pissed, but hear me out. Something happened, and I'm fucking pissed. So this week, you're going to get a story time. That's not this, okay? Because I'm pissed and I need to tell you guys, okay? So please just keep that in mind. I filmed the story time that you guys will get on Thursday yesterday. It was in the moment. It was raw. It was real. It was all the emotions. So be looking out for that, baby, because it's coming on Thursday. And I'm so motherfucking pissed. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it because we're about to get into some real shit, okay? Now, before I even start this, I know that there's going to be people that's going to see this live that are not my subscribers. You've never probably watched a video of mine, and to you guys who are going to be like, oh, this isn't true, blah, blah, blah. I'm a 30-year-old woman. I literally have better things to do than to get on YouTube and make up some shit like this. I would love if this was not true, okay? So where we left off in that video was basically that me and my neighbor, who we can just say her real name is Tori. We are actually really friends on Facebook still to this day. She gave me permission to give her name. So her name was Tori, and we met for being neighbors, and we lived in a four apartment duplex, but it was shaped very weird. So the only two people in this 4-building duplex, I'm skipping this back, guys, sorry. You're going to just see the outline of this, was me and Tori. That was it. The other 2 apartments stayed vacant the entire time that we lived there. Now, keep in mind, I did not live there very long because shit started happening immediately, okay? And you're going to have to watch part 1 and part 2 to know what's going on. You're going to be very lost if you haven't watched those. So please go watch part 1 and part 2, or after this, go watch it, whatever you want to do. But I had lived in a townhouse here in my hometown in Halls that was built on an old plantation. There were, I think, something like 20 apartments on this piece of property, and they also built a subdivision on the other half. Every home, every apartment on this piece of property to this day is still extremely haunted. However, there wasn't anything like scary until my dumb ass, because I'm dumb, and a bunch of my friends decided to play with the Ouija board. We invited something fucked into our house. And it wasn't until here recently that I actually found out what was it, and it actually attached to me. Yeah. Stay tuned for fucking that. So in part 2, I told you guys, we moved to this duplex, a brand new duplex here in Knoxville. And the first 2 people to live in them was myself and then my neighbor upstairs, Tori. And Tori said that nothing started happening until my dumbass moved in. And then as soon as I moved in, she said things started happening. Well, me and her kind of collaborated, and we started like comparing stories and hanging out a lot together. We were scared. We were young girls. And at first, I was very much under the impression that it was my stalker. And now, fast forward to recent events, I was able to learn that it couldn't have been him. It was impossible for it to be him. He was in prison at this time, so it was impossible, which now makes a lot of sense because there was a whole year where he was not around at all, and it was during this period when he was in jail. So I just continue to tell myself that it's him, right? And I'm standing in the kitchen. I'd been on a date with the guy that I started dating solely because Tori's boyfriend moved in with her. So I felt like I needed somebody to move in with me. So I had just started dating this guy. We moved in together extremely quick. I can't remember what I called him in that story time. It doesn't matter. His name was Matt. Boo, you dated me. What do you want from me? If you wanted secrecy, I don't know what you shouldn't have dated me. His name was Matt because I can't remember what the fuck his fake name was. His name was Matt, and we had been on a date, and I had went in the kitchen to put our leftovers in the refrigerator. He was in the living room, and I was bending over to put the leftovers in the refrigerator, and I felt him specifically put his arms around my waist. Okay, felt his body. It smelled like him. He wore Abercrombie and Fitch cologne. It smelled literally like him. So I turn around. He's not there. I go to the living room and I tell him this. He was like, it wasn't me, whatever. Maybe you're just imagining things. I was like, absolutely not. It was you. I knew it was you because it smelled like you. Like it felt and smelled like you. Like I knew it was you. He was like, well, it wasn't me. We decided to change the subject, whatever. And I go to the bathroom. We had a half bath in the dining room downstairs. It was an up and downstairs like townhouse type deal. And I go to the bathroom and I come out and he says, yeah, or no, he says, I agree with you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you just said that we should maybe give it another month before we move out of here. And I said, I agree with you. And I said, I didn't say anything. He said, yes, you did. It was your voice. It was you. I heard you. I was like, it wasn't me. I didn't say that. Swear to God. And at this point, he really starts to freak out because now I think he was kind of like questioning it or thinking that, it was all in my head. And then he started the whatever it was at the time. We didn't know what it was. I guess it wanted to show him I'm real. I'm here. And so it used my voice. Now, the important thing to remember is that I do not have any recollection of this entire night. Okay? I do not. Tori does not. Matt did. Okay? So that is where all of this information would later come from. A lot of shit would end up happening that night. Okay? A lot. And we're going to get into what all happened after puzzle pieces were put together. Because again, I still to this day don't remember any of it. And neither does Tori. All of this has been puzzle pieces that have been put together over time. But that night, the scariest shit you could ever possibly fucking imagine happened. So if you watched, I believe it was part 2, I mentioned that we had started hearing babies crying. And I had a sleep paralysis nightmare of an old lady standing in our bedroom holding a baby. And the baby had a very demonic, not normal, not human face. Okay? It was petrifying. And I closed my eyes and forced myself to go to sleep. And I felt like the lady's face right here, or the baby's, whoever. I felt something like right here. It was fucking terrifying. So that night, I was absolutely terrified to go to sleep. I talked to Tori. They had been experiencing weird, crazy shit all night long too. And so we decided that it would be best if we all stayed under the same roof. So her and her boyfriend decided to come to our apartment because after talking back and forth, we decided that we weren't experiencing the kind of things they were. They were experiencing a lot of touch, like a lot of touching type things, like fingers through the hair, pats on the back, feeling like a hand on your cheek. Like she said she was sitting there on her phone and she felt like someone's hand just kind of brushed her face. Fuck, right? So I wasn't fucking going up there. So they came down to our apartment. And for the longest, nothing happened. I remember we watched a movie. I do remember that. I believe it was like a Harry Potter movie we watched in the living room. And then the couch I had at the time pulled out into a bed, and I pulled it out because they didn't want to sleep in the bedroom upstairs, which I don't fucking blame them. There had been some shit that went down in there, which is going to be a whole separate story because it's too long. But just know some really crazy shit happened in the bedroom upstairs, and everybody knew what happened with the bedroom upstairs. So I pull out the couch and I make it for them. And in this time, her boyfriend is upstairs in our shower. Matt is already in the bedroom, like getting ready for bed. And Tori is in the downstairs bathroom going potty. Okay. I am in the living room, but we are all individually in a room alone. Simultaneously, we all scream. I'm going to tell you why. And I remember this. I felt someone grip the back of my neck. Like if you were to walk up to someone and just squeeze a little bit the back of your neck. That's what it felt like. But it felt like an actual human hand. Like it felt like skin. You know how your hands are always kind of chilly, like compared to the rest of your body? That's what it felt like. I even remember like feeling like a little bit of nail, like on my neck. It was so fucking weird. So we all kind of like yelp, or I remember her boyfriend was in the shower and he was like, "What the fuck?" And I remember Matt came out of the upstairs bedroom and like came to the top of this, or came out of the downstairs bedroom, and her boyfriend came up to the top of the stairs. She runs out of the bathroom, and we're like comparing, like this is what it was. This is constantly what it was like comparing stories, like what happened to you, what happened to you. But every single one of us felt the exact same thing. And this is where things took a fucking ugly turn. This is where things weren't. It was almost, and I know that all of this sounds very intense, but it's not compared to what we were going to experience in this night. I was terrified to go to bed with just Matt, and I'm going to tell you why. Because like a lot of men, as soon as his fucking head hit the pillow, he was fucking asleep. And it takes me a minute to go to bed. I have to toss, I have to turn, I have to I don't fucking know, man. My body doesn't do that. It doesn't shut down like that. Let it be the ADHD. That will literally be the only time you ever hear me blame shit on it. But it might, whatever. I can't fucking lay there and sleep like that. Chris does the same thing. Like I whatever. So I remember being very scared to go to bed. And I remember Tori saying the same thing. She was like, he's going to go straight to sleep, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, in 10 minutes, when we get in here, they're asleep and we're not. Meet me back down here in the living room. This was a very bad idea, okay? So mine and Matt's bedroom, if you remember in the first part, there is a wall that divides the living room from the master bedroom. There was only a wall between us, okay? What I'm about to tell you is going to sound out there, whatever, but this is what really happened. And Tori and her boyfriend would hear the same thing. I started to hear Tori and her boyfriend, her husband now, but her boyfriend at the time, have sex. And in there, they started to hear myself and Matt have sex. Nobody obviously was having sex. We were all fucking terrified. I also remember that night was one of the first nights that it took Matt like 45 minutes to go to sleep. That never had happened. And I remember just laying there like waiting for them to stop having sex. And I kind of dozed off. Now, at 3:13 in the morning, and I know that for a fact because I had this huge alarm clock on a dresser right in front of my bed. There was this alarm clock, and it had the time in big red numbers. So I know that it was 3:13 in the morning. And I was like, fuck. I woke up at 3 o'clock. Fuck, fuck, fuck. And I look over and oh my God, this is so fucking terrifying, you guys. And I want to make this clear because I do not remember the things that I done. I only remember the things that I seen. So I'm going to backtrack here in a minute and I'm going to tell you what I was told that I done, okay? Because I don't remember any of this. But I look over and Matt is standing in the corner of the bedroom, okay? There was this whole place had like full wall windows. And there was like maybe this much space from the window to like the corner of the wall. He's standing in the corner staring at me. And he doesn't look normal. He doesn't look human. He looks very fucking demonic. His eyes, like, you know how even in the dark, you can still see someone's, like right now, you can still see a little bit of brown in my eyes. You couldn't see fucking nothing. You could see only black. You couldn't see any white, nothing. Full black, okay? And when I look at him, oh my God, this fucking makes my eye twitch. When I look at him, he smiles the most creepiest, evil, scariest, most fucking sleep paralysis smile you can think of. It literally almost took up his whole goddamn face. And you guys, I am 30 fucking 1 years old, okay? I put this on my fucking grave, okay? This shit fucking happened. I remember just putting the covers over my head and then immediately regretting it because I thought, oh my God. And I started to feel him crawl up the goddamn bed. And I'm fucking laying underneath the blanket, crying, like screaming. I remember screaming and screaming. I can feel him crawling up the bed. And all of a sudden, the door swings open and Tori comes in and I wake up. This was my experience. So now I'm going to explain to you guys everybody else's experience because we all did things that night, but none of us remember what we did, if that makes sense. So the next one I'm going to explain to you is Tori's. I think I have them in my notes here because it's a lot. So, okay. So Tori, remember they were sleeping in the room that was on the other side of our bedroom wall. And she had the same experience. She heard me and Matt having sex. So she obviously was like, okay, well, we're not going to meet, here in the living room, obviously, because they're busy. So she dozed off, fell asleep. She woke up and she said she doesn't know what time it was. She said, but when she heard me scream, this is when it was happening. It had like just stopped happening for her. She starts to feel her leg almost as if someone is just like clawing and clawing and clawing, like scratching and scratching and scratching and scratching and scratching at her leg. To the point to where it becomes so much pain, she like wakes up irritated because she thinks it's her boyfriend's toes, like his toenails, like scratching her leg. So she wakes up like irritated and she jolts him. And I'm not going to be saying his name because he does have a government job and, he doesn't want his name all that. But she kind of like was like, boyfriend, stop. And he just is like dead asleep. And she looks down and she said the only way that she knows to describe it is if you can imagine a demonic dog, but with human arms and legs, is at the foot of the bed and it's scratching her leg. and it's got a creepy smile. She said she doesn't know how to explain it, but it smiled at her. And same thing, started crawling up the bed. And she just kind of turned her head and closed her eyes and was like she was trying to wake up her boyfriend. He wasn't waking up. And finally, she shook him awake. And as soon as he opened his eyes, there was nothing going on. Nothing was in the room. She hears me scream. She runs into the bedroom. Next, we're going to talk about her now husband and his experience, because his was different than everybody else's. So he had went to the bathroom after they had laid down because he had to number 2. And now, guys, this is like the most vulnerable space that you can be in, taking a shit. Can you imagine taking a shit and having a demon come after you? Inappropriate and rude. But anyways, he's in the bathroom and he's number 2. And he hears her having a conversation with him outside the door. So he carries on the conversation, whatever. And what he thinks is Tori says, I think that we should kill ourselves. And this is obviously a trigger warning. We are going to be talking about suicide here. There was no suicide done, but there is going to be talk of it. So if that is triggering for you, please click out of the rest of this live, please. And he's like, what are you talking about, Tori? Why would we do that? That makes no sense. And the thing is that it was saying things that were very, very true to things they were going through at the time. And I'm not going to get into those details, but just know that it knew things. So he was still under the assumption that he was speaking to Tori. So he yanks open the bathroom door, thinking that he is having a conversation with Tori, yanks open the bathroom door, and he sees what he thought was Tori run away. It's like he sees someone run away and he thinks it's Tori, and he's like, what are you doing? And he starts to hear footsteps come back towards the bathroom. And he's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you okay? And like, he said that, he was concerned at this time that maybe something had possessed her, because Tori and myself had been acting very, very weird, which all of this is going to make a lot of sense in the end of all this, because we're going to wrap it all up in this live. But everything is going to make a lot of sense at the end. And he's like, he's asking her questions to see, like, does she know, is this really her? Because he's thinking that whatever this isn't going to know, like, his birthday, where did we have our first kiss? But every question he asks is spot on. And he said, come here where I can see you. And he says that it was a version of Tori. A lot like what I seen in the bedroom, but a lot fucking freakier, because he had the light on and in the bathroom, so he could see a lot clearer than I'm going to be able to see in the fucking dark, which I'm thankful it was in the fucking dark. I don't want to see that shit with the light. But basically it was Tori, but with all black eyes. Her mouth was way bigger, he said. And she smiled, and it was the same smile all the way across the face. And she was just very like robotic moving. She almost like glided across the floor, he said. His story fucking freaks me out because he remembers a lot of details. And mine is a little fuzzy. I'm sure I'm missing parts because it almost felt like it lasted for like 30 minutes to an hour, when in actuality, like, the story that I tell is like 10 seconds long. So I'm sure I'm missing details. I'm sure my brain like blocked out things that happened or something. I don't know. Maybe God took it out of my mind. I don't know. Whatever it is. But he says that Tori starts to glide towards him, and he slams the bathroom door shut. And as he slams the bathroom door shut, he wipes his behind, gets up off the toilet, flushes the toilet, goes out of the bathroom, and Tori is asleep in the bed. And he goes over there and he wakes her up. He's like, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you okay? Talk to me. Are you okay? And she rises up out of the bed, sits up in the bed, and she says, I'm fine. Lay down. He lays down, cuts the light off, lays down, And mind you, he also hears me and Matt having sex as well. And he lays down in the bed and he makes a joke about, me and Matt having sex in the room next, when we've been experiencing all this. And she wraps her arm around him. And he said as soon as he felt her arm around him, he knew it wasn't Tori. He knew that this was something else. He said, I did not feel any life in the body next to me at all. And he said, for the first time, he said, in all of this, I felt fucking actually scared. And he turned around and he said, what the fuck are you? Get out of my girlfriend. And he said in the scariest fucking voice you can fucking imagine, he heard no. And he said the only way he can describe the voice is if you were to burp and say no. So like, no, like that. He said it was fucking terrifying. It was not human at all. And he said he fucking jumped up out of the bed. And he said when he jumped up out of the bed, he was facing the window. And when he turned around, Tori was perfectly asleep. And he said he didn't feel anything in the room anymore. Now we're going to talk about Matt's experience. And remember, all of our experiences end at the same time. I have no explanation for it. I have no idea why. I don't have any explanation. What we all told ourselves is that we were having a dream. That's what we told ourselves for so long until we all went, excluding Matt. Chris went with me, but all of us went and we spoke to someone and we wanted to get answers. And we now know exactly what happened. But Matt's experience was almost identical to mine. It was the same situation. He woke up, seen me standing in the corner, and I had that evil smile, whatever, and I started crawling up the bed. The only difference is that he said I was crying like a baby. And he said it was fucking terrifying. And he yelped, and I jumped up out of the bed and was like, hey, what's going on? So that is the differences. How I could be crawling up him, but also laying next to him. It's so bizarre. And all of this from playing with the goddamn Ouija board. Now, a lot of people asked in the last video how Tori was affected when she didn't play with the Ouija board. I don't know. Because since the Ouija board has been properly buried, no more experiences have been found. Now, keep in mind, the Ouija board was just properly buried 2 weeks ago. This happened when I was 21, 22 years old. It's been 10 years that Ouija board has been in a box in the garage. And I was scared. I didn't know what to do with it. I, have heard some really fucking bad things if you burn them. So I done a lot of research and I found someone that's not near me, but close to where I am, who knows about this stuff. And she said that it was a temporary possession of all of us. So when we played with this Ouija board, which this story is going to come as well, this Morgan Shayloween, but when we played with the Ouija board, this demon or whatever was pretending to be a spirit that we had connected with, which I've talked about this spirit before. I believe I've made up a name for him just because the actual spirit is someone that we all knew, like we were trying to connect with this actual person because he died on the road that this property, where this property was. So we were trying to actually connect with this actual spirit. We knew him. And for a while, I do believe we were talking to him, because the second time that we played with the Ouija board, which I don't think I've told this story yet, we will tell it this Morgan Shayloween, if not. The second time that we played with the Ouija board was a lot different. We had someone there that was very disrespectful and was being very disrespectful with the board and with the spirits. And I think that this demon or whatever took advantage of that and started to imitate and act like this spirit, because the other spirit would say, I've got to stay away. I can't be near. You're not going to be talking to me. Like, it would be really short versions of that. Like, I'll be away. You won't be talking to me, things like that. And we didn't listen, whatever. We were young kids, stupid, 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 stupid. The main thing that you need to take away from this is if you are going to play with the Ouija board, I think that you need to be around all people who understand that this is a real thing. You are going to be contacting real spirits, especially if you are using a Ouija board in a spot that has already got paranormal activity without a fucking Ouija board, like this property that I lived on, my first apartment was at. Everyone needs to be respectful of the spirits, respectful of the space, and be courteous. And if you will feel an evil spirit. The whole energy in the whole place will change. You have to be paying attention. You need to be zoned in. Do not play if you think it is a joke. I do not recommend it at all. And I honestly do not recommend anyone do it, because the proper burial of one is a fucking process and a half. And I think that it's just not worth it. I think that if you are curious and it's something that you really want to do, I have had just as much spirit box connections that I have with Ouija boards. And I do recommend those. And if you would like a link to a good one, I can send you a link. But I don't think Ouija boards are ever the answer. Let my experience tell you, and also know that there is still so much missing out of this story that you guys don't even know yet, that are just too long and have to be kept separate. But most of them you guys will know this Morgan Shayloween. I hope you guys did enjoy the final part of the paranormal story time. Do know that there are going to be other stories that I have cut out, like I said, that are going to be parts long. But this week we had some shit go down, and I have a story time that's coming. It will be up Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, what are you waiting on? I mean, seriously, let's get this channel monetized already. Let's do that. Also, I am coming out with a podcast, and if you would like to be the first to listen to the first episode, I am going to be dropping it randomly. So if you want a guarantee to listen to the first episode as soon as it comes out and a chance to vote in the next episode, be sure that you do download the SoundCloud app and go like Stories of a Chubby Chick with Morgan Shay. That is the name of my podcast, and it is all going to be stories that are too much for YouTube. So if you're curious of those stories, be sure that you go and download the SoundCloud app. I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you guys do like Morgan Shayloween backdrop numero dos. Remember, we're on a MacBook right now, so this isn't how you're going to be seeing it in videos or anything. And I also have all the lights out, the aesthetic or whatever. Be safe out there, my friends, especially if you are curious of the paranormal and the afterlife. Always play it safe. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And if you guys have any questions about this story, as always, be sure to put them in the comment section, not the live chat, but the comment section. Also, today's secret emoji, I'm going to put in the live chat, so only the live listeners are going to know. Be sure that you do comment this secret emoji in the actual comment section and not the live chat, my friends. Not the live chat. Let's see. What do we want it to be today? Let's make it this. Yes. Okay. Secret emoji is in the live chat. You will need to comment it in the actual comments if you would like to enter into the giveaway. Now, this giveaway is for my 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which we will be having very soon, you guys. I think we are almost about to hit 800. So please do keep in mind that whoever is my 1,000th subscriber as well, whoever is my 800th, 900th, and 1,000th subscriber, you guys are going to get something special as well, just as every other one has. Thank you all so much for all your love, your support, your kindness. You all are a real one. I love you guys, and I will see you bitches in the next one. Bye. Now for the awkward pause while I end this live. I hate this